Ethan Cole was never an ambitious man. He worked for 10 years at the same accounting firm, in the same gray cubicle with the same numbing routine. He woke up at 6 in the morning, drank black coffee without sugar, kissed Maya on the forehead while she was still sleeping, and drove 40 minutes to the office where numbers were his only language. Maya was everything he wasn't: spontaneous, passionate, full of life. She worked as an art teacher at a public school and came home with paint under her nails and stories about her students. They lived in a modest apartment on the 3rd floor of an old building, where the kitchen faucet dripped and the elevator only worked 3 days a week. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. It all started on an ordinary Tuesday. Ethan was reviewing spreadsheets when his boss, Mr. Brennan, a 60-year-old man with slumped shoulders and a permanently tired look, stopped at his desk. "Cole, I need to talk to you." "My office." Now, Ethan's heart raced. In 10 years, conversations in the boss's office never meant good news. He saved the file, adjusted his tie, and walked down the hallway like a man going to his own judgment. "Sit down," Brennan said, pointing to the worn leather chair. "I have news." Ethan sat, his hands sweating. "The company is restructuring, cutting costs." Brennan paused, and Ethan felt the floor disappearing beneath his feet. "But you're staying. Actually, we're promoting you. Senior manager. 40% raise." The silence that followed was surreal. Ethan blinked, tried to process the words. 40%. You deserve it, Cole. You've always been reliable. Discreet. The paperwork is ready. The new salary goes into your account at the end of the month. Ethan floated back to his cubicle. 40%. That meant dinner out without calculating every penny. It meant fixing the car, maybe even moving to a better apartment. He grabbed his phone to call Maya, but something strange happened. He couldn't remember her number. This was ridiculous. They'd been together for 8 years, married for 5. He dialed that number every day. But now, looking at the phone screen, his mind was blank, as if that number had never existed. He found the saved contact and called. Maya answered on the 3rd ring. "Une, everything okay?" "Maya." Ethan hesitated. Something was wrong, but he couldn't identify what. I just wanted to hear your voice." She laughed. "You're being weird today. Did something happen?" "They promoted me. 40% raise." Maya's scream of joy came through the phone. "Ethan, oh my God, that's amazing. We need to celebrate. I'll make that special dinner you love." But when she hung up, Ethan remained seated, staring at the phone. There was something wrong, something missing. He just didn't know what. That night, Maya prepared lasagna, lit candles, and they toasted with cheap wine in mismatched glasses. She talked about plans for the future, about the trip they'd always wanted to take, about finally replacing the couch that was falling apart. Ethan smiled and agreed, but a strange feeling persisted, as if something had changed, as if the apartment was smaller, emptier. "Are you okay?" Maya asked, touching his hand. "You seem distant." "I'm fine," he lied, "just processing everything." But he wasn't fine. When he went to the bathroom to wash his face, he looked in the mirror and had the impression that his reflection was slightly different. Paler, eyes a bit more sunken. He shook his head. He was being paranoid. The next day, Ethan discovered that his younger brother, Tyler, hadn't called in weeks. This was strange. Tyler always called on Sundays. It was tradition. But when Ethan tried to remember the last conversation, he couldn't. It was as if Tyler had disappeared from routine. He dialed the number. "Hello." Tyler's voice sounded distant, almost surprised. "Tyler, it's me. Ethan. Ethan. Dude, long time. How are you?" "Long time? We talked last week." There was a pause. "Ethan, we haven't talked in like 3 months. You've been really busy." 3 months? Ethan felt the ground shake. That's not right. "You okay, bro? You sound confused." Ethan hung up without answering. His hands were shaking. 3 months. How could he have forgotten 3 entire months? That night, he couldn't sleep. Lying next to Maya, he watched the ceiling, trying to understand what was happening. The extra money was already in his account. He checked on his phone at 3 in the morning. There it was. Real. Tangible. But something had disappeared. He was sure of that now. It was on Friday that he saw the stranger for the first time. Ethan was at the bank, depositing a check, when he noticed a man standing near the ATMs. Tall, thin, wearing a gray overcoat despite the heat. His face was angular, almost sharp, and his eyes were a metallic gray that seemed to pierce through people. The stranger looked directly at Ethan and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that said, "I know something you don't know." Ethan finished the transaction quickly and left the bank. But when he looked back, the stranger was still there, still watching, still smiling. That night, Ethan found a note on his car. It was folded under the windshield wiper. Old, yellowed paper with elegant and ancient handwriting. "Every gain has its price. You've already paid the first. How many more are you willing to pay?" There was no signature, no explanation. Ethan crumpled the paper and threw it in the trash. It was some kind of prank. It had to be. But when he got home, Maya was crying in the living room. "What's wrong?" Ethan ran to her, kneeling by her side. "Maya, what happened?" "I don't know," she sobbed, holding a photo frame. "I was looking at our wedding album and—" "Ethan, half the photos are blank, simply erased, as if we never took them." Ethan took the album. She was right. Entire pages showed only empty backgrounds, places where there should have been images of friends, of family, of important moments. Everything disappeared. "This doesn't make sense," he murmured. "Photos don't just vanish." But they did. And deep down, very deep down, Ethan was beginning to understand. The money had a price, and he was starting to pay it. 3 weeks after the promotion, Ethan received an unexpected call. An old client of the company, a businessman named Richard Voss, wanted to see him personally. "I heard about your promotion," Voss said on the phone, his voice deep and confident. "I have a proposal, something that can change your life." They met at an expensive restaurant downtown, the kind of place where Ethan would never set foot. Voss was a man in his 50s, perfectly combed gray hair, a suit that probably cost more than Ethan's car. "You're good with numbers, Cole," Voss said, cutting a filet mignon. "And discreet. Those are rare qualities. I'm setting up a private investment fund. I need someone to manage the accounts. Someone I can trust." "I already have a job, Mr. Voss." "That pays what? 80,000 a year?" "I'm offering 200, plus performance-based bonuses." Voss leaned forward. "You can keep living month to month, Cole. Or you can finally have the life you deserve." Ethan thought of Maya, of the bills, of the tiny apartment, of the constant feeling of just surviving, never living. "When would I start?" Voss smiled. "Tomorrow." Ethan accepted, signed the papers that very night. The first payment arrived in his account 2 days later. 200,000, more money than he'd seen in his entire life. But the next morning, when he woke up, something was different. Maya was in the kitchen, making coffee, but when she turned to greet him, Ethan felt a shiver of unfamiliarity, as if he were looking at a stranger. Just for a second. Then, the feeling passed. "Good morning, honey," she said, smiling. "How did you sleep?" Well, he lied, because the truth was he couldn't remember sleeping next to her. Couldn't remember going to bed. It was as if there was a black hole in his memory. At the new job, Ethan dove into the numbers. Voss was right. He was good at it. The investments prospered under his management. In 2 months, the fund had grown 30%. Voss was ecstatic. "You're a genius, Cole," he said, slapping Ethan on the back. "I knew I made the right choice. Here's your bonus." Another 50,000 appeared in his account. And that night, Ethan realized he couldn't remember his mother's name. He was filling out a form at the bank when he got to the emergency contact line. His hand stopped over the paper. Mother's name. He knew he had a mother. He was sure of it. She had called him. When? Last week. Last month. But the name. The face. Everything was blurry, like an old photograph left in the sun. Ethan ran home and opened a drawer where he kept old photos. He found an image of a middle-aged woman, smiling next to a young Ethan. But her face was completely erased. Just a blur where there should have been features. No. He rummaged through more photos, all with the same woman, all with the face erased. Maya entered the room. "Ethan, what are you doing?" "My mother," he said, his voice breaking. "I can't remember her." Maya went pale. "What are you talking about? You never mentioned your mother. You always said you grew up with just your father." "No." Ethan stood up, holding the photo. "Look, she's here." In this photo, Maya looked at the image. Her eyes widened. Ethan, there's no one in this photo. It's just you. Alone. Ethan looked again. Maya was right. The woman had completely disappeared. It was just him, young and smiling, next to nothing. He dropped the photo, his hands shaking violently. I need air, he muttered, stumbling to the door. He drove aimlessly, trying to understand what was happening. It wasn't possible. People don't just disappear. Memories aren't erased. He stopped in an empty parking lot near the river. The night was cold, starless. Ethan got out of the car and leaned on the hood, trying to breathe. That's when he saw the stranger again. He was standing near the river's edge, hands in pockets, looking at the dark water, as if waiting, as if he knew Ethan would come. You! Ethan shouted, marching toward him. Who the hell are you? What are you doing to me? The stranger turned slowly. His face was even more angular up close, almost inhuman. The metallic gray eyes glowed with their own light. I'm not doing anything, Ethan Cole, he said, his voice soft and ancient. You're doing this to yourself. What are you talking about? My mother disappeared. My memories are vanishing. Yes. The stranger nodded. Every time you take the money, something is taken. It's a trade. It always was. Trade? What trade? I never agreed to this. Ah, but you did. The stranger took a step closer. Every time you reach out and take what you didn't earn with your own sweat, every time you accept the easy offer, you're saying yes. You're saying, I accept the price. This is insane. Money is money. There's no magic in it. Isn't there? The stranger smiled coldly. Then tell me, Ethan Cole, how much of your life are you willing to sell? Your mother is already gone. Who'll be next? Your brother? Your friends? How long until Maya looks at you and sees no one? Stop. Ethan covered his ears. You're lying. Am I? The stranger pointed to the river. Look at the water. See your reflection. Ethan looked. His reflection in the dark water seemed transparent, almost ghostly, as if he were dissolving. You can stop, the stranger said softly. At any moment, just refuse the next payment. Say no, and maybe, just maybe, you can recover what you lost. And if I don't stop, the stranger began to walk away, disappearing into the shadows. Then continue, his voice echoed in the night. Get rich, have everything, and when there's no one left to share it with, you will finally understand the true meaning of alone. Ethan stood there, shaking, as the stranger disappeared completely. He drove home in silence. Maya was sleeping, or he thought she was. It was hard to be sure. He watched her in the dark, trying to engrave every detail. The curve of her nose, the way her hair fell on the pillow. How long until he couldn't see her anymore? How long until she became another erased face? He picked up his phone and opened a bank account. The money was still there. Real. Tempting. He could stop now. Refuse the next payment. Live with what he had. But the dark part of him, the part that always wanted more, whispered, maybe just a little more. Just enough to secure the future. And then I'll stop. Ethan closed the phone. And in that moment, he knew he was lying to himself. The following months were a downward spiral disguised as upward success. Voss's fund exploded. Ethan received bonus after bonus. They moved to a penthouse in the city's most expensive neighborhood. Ethan bought a German car that cost more than his old annual salary. He wore watches that weighed on his wrist like golden anchors. On the outside, he had everything. On the inside, he was disappearing. Tyler stopped answering his calls. When Ethan finally went to his brother's apartment, he found a strange family living there. They'd never heard of anyone named Tyler. Ethan searched public records, social media, anything. Tyler Cole didn't exist. Never existed. Except Ethan still had memories. Fragments. A laugh. An inside joke. The feeling of having grown up with someone. But the details were dissolving like mist under the sun. At work, Ethan was revered. Voss called him my Midas. Other investors wanted to work with him. Offers came daily. More money. Always more money. And Ethan accepted, because now he couldn't stop. It was like an addiction. Each payment gave him a brief moment of euphoria, of feeling powerful, before the terrible realization of what he'd lost. But he rationalized. It's just money. It's just coincidence. It can't be real. Except it was. Maya began to change. Or rather, Ethan's memory of her began to change. There was a night when they had dinner at a five-star restaurant, and Ethan realized he couldn't remember how they met. Maya, he asked, cutting the $200 Wagyu beef. How did we meet again? She stopped, fork in the air. Ethan, what a strange question. I just want to hear you tell it again. She smiled, but there was something hesitant in that smile. In college. Library. You were studying late, I was painting. We literally bumped into each other when you turned the corner. But Ethan couldn't visualize it. Couldn't remember that library. That collision. It was as if she were telling someone else's story. Are you okay? She asked, touching his hand. You've been so distant. Like you're somewhere else. I'm fine, he lied. But he wasn't. He was terrified. That night, he tried to make love to her. But in the middle of the act, he looked at her face and had a moment of pure panic. Who was this woman? Why was she in his bed? The feeling passed quickly, but left a taste of ash in his mouth. Afterward, while she slept, Ethan went to the living room and opened the laptop. He searched for everything he could find about memory, about unexplainable phenomena, about anything that could explain what was happening. He found old stories, legends, fairy tales about deals with devils, about wishes that came with terrible prices. But those were just stories. It wasn't real. Except the stranger was real. The erased photos were real. The disappeared people were real. Ethan closed the laptop and held his head in his hands. He could stop. Now, this moment. Refuse any additional payment. Live with what he had. But tomorrow, Voss was going to offer him a stake in the company. 5%. 8 million. Ethan told himself it would be the last time. He'd accept this and then stop. Forever. But when he looked at himself in the window glass, his reflection was almost transparent. He could see through himself. The stranger appeared again a week later. This time, in the underground parking garage of Ethan's building. Ethan was returning home late when he saw the familiar figure standing next to his car. His heart sank. You again, Ethan said, his voice exhausted. What do you want now? It's not about what I want, the stranger replied. It's about what you want. And apparently, you want everything. I'm going to stop. After the next offer. I swear. The stranger laughed. It wasn't a pleasant sound. They always say that. Just one more time. Just one more payment. But you know it's a lie. You can't stop. Because the hunger never stops. You don't know me. I know everyone like you, Ethan Cole. You think you're the first? You think you're special? The stranger circled around him like a predator. There are thousands before you. All thought they could control it. All thought they could stop. And what happened to them? The stranger stopped, his metallic gray eyes piercing Ethan. They disappeared. Completely. They got so rich there was nothing of them left. Just money. Just things. But no person. No soul. That's ridiculous. I'm still here. I'm still me. Are you sure? The stranger leaned closer. Tell me your full name. Ethan Cole. Your middle name. Ethan opened his mouth and couldn't remember. He had a middle name. He was sure of it. But he couldn't. You see, the stranger murmured. You're forgetting yourself. Piece by piece. Soon, you'll be nothing but a rich man with no past, no identity, no reason to exist. Stop, Ethan shouted. Just stop. How do I reverse this? How do I get back what I lost? The stranger was silent for a long moment, then said, You already know the answer. Give up the money. All of it. Every penny you didn't earn honestly. Return it. And maybe, just maybe, what was taken will return. That's millions. I'd lose everything. No, the stranger corrected. You'd lose the things, but you'd recover the people. You'd recover yourself. The choice is yours. The stranger began to disappear into the shadows, but his voice still echoed. But decide quickly, Ethan Cole, because soon there will be nothing of you left to make the decision. Ethan stood alone in the parking garage, shaking. He looked at the luxury car, at the expensive watch on his wrist, at the penthouse keys in his hand. How much was all this worth? Really? He went up to the apartment. Maya was in bed, reading a book. She looked up when he entered and smiled. But there was something in that smile. A distance, as if she were looking at a stranger. Maya, he said, sitting on the edge of the bed. I need to tell you something. What is it? And then Ethan stopped, because when he looked at her, really looked, he realized something terrible. He couldn't remember the color of her eyes, couldn't remember her perfume, couldn't remember the sound of her laugh. She was disappearing from him, or he was disappearing from her. "Ethan," she asked, worry in her voice. "You're scaring me." He began, but the words didn't come, because tomorrow morning, Voss was going to make the offer. 5% of the company. Million. And Ethan still hadn't decided if he was going to say no. The morning came cold and gray. Ethan didn't sleep. He stayed awake all night, watching Maya sleep, trying to memorize every detail of her before it was too late. At 7 in the morning, he dressed in silence. $3,000 suit, Italian silk tie, handmade shoes. He looked like a successful man, a winner. But when he looked in the mirror, he could barely see his reflection. It was as if he were becoming a ghost. Maya woke up as he was leaving. "You're going early today," she said, her voice sleepy. "Important meeting." She sat up, watching him. There was something in her look, something Ethan couldn't interpret. Fear? Sadness? Acceptance? "Ethan, who have you become?" she asked softly. The question hit him like a punch. "What do you mean? You don't smile anymore. Don't laugh. Don't seem like you." Tears began to stream down her face. "It's like the man I loved is disappearing and I can't reach him." Ethan went to her, knelt by the bed, held her hands. "I'm here. I'm still me." "Are you sure?" she whispered. "Because when I look at you now, sometimes it's like looking at a stranger." He kissed her, long desperately, trying to prove he was still real, that he was still there. "I'm going to fix this," he promised. "Somehow, I'm going to fix it." But when he left the apartment, he still didn't know how. Voss's office occupied the top floor of a gleaming skyscraper. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city. From above, everything looked small, insignificant. Voss was sitting behind his mahogany desk, a triumphant smile on his face. "Cole, Colmeen." He gestured to the leather chair. "Today is a big day for you, a big day for both of us." Ethan sat. His hands were sweaty. His heart was beating irregularly. "The papers are here," Voss said, pushing a folder across the desk. 5% of the company. With the growth we've had, this is worth approximately $8 million, and will grow. In 5 years, 15, 20 million. Ethan opened the folder. The documents were legal, official, real. All he needed to do was sign. "There's a pen in the drawer," Voss said, waving casually. Ethan opened the drawer and froze. Inside, along with the expensive pen, there was a photo. Old, faded. It showed a young Ethan, maybe 10 years old, next to a dark-haired woman and a younger boy. His mother and Tyler. He knew this somehow, even though he couldn't remember their faces. But in the photo, only Ethan was visible. The other two were shadows. Empty spaces. Something wrong? Voss asked. Ethan picked up the photo. "Where did this come from?" Voss looked at it and frowned. "That's just you, Cole. A photo of you as a child." "No, there were other people here. My family." "Family?" Voss laughed. "Cole, you always told me you had no family, that you grew up alone. That's why you're so focused. No distractions." Ethan looked at Voss, really looked, and for the first time noticed something. Voss's eyes, they were the same metallic gray, like the stranger's. "You," Ethan whispered. "You're part of this." Voss leaned back, his smile never wavering. "Part of what, Cole? Your success?" "Absolutely. I gave you the opportunity. You seized it. Simple as that." "No, this isn't simple. I'm losing everything. Everyone I love." "Love." Voss said the word as if it were foreign. "Cole, love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't build empires. You want security? Power? Freedom? Then you need to be willing to sacrifice distractions." "They're not distractions. They're my life." "He has a right to know," the stranger replied. He looked at Ethan. "You can go back to the moment before it all began, before the first promotion, but you'll have to give everything you possess. More than that, you'll have to give the memory of ever having had it. You'll have to completely forget that any of this happened." "But then, I wouldn't learn anything. I could do it all again." "Yes," the stranger agreed. "Or you could do it differently. The choice, again, is yours." Ethan looked between the two. Voss, representing wealth, power, the promise of having everything. The stranger representing what? A second chance? Or just another kind of prison? If I forget, Ethan said slowly, how do I know this won't happen again? You don't, the stranger answered honestly. But Maya will know. On a deep level, she'll know. And when the next temptation comes, maybe she'll remind you of who you really are. Ethan closed his eyes. He thought of Maya, of her smile, of her laugh that he could barely remember, of Tyler, of his mother, of all the lost moments, of all the severed connections. He thought of the man he used to be, the one who was content with a simple life, who found joy in small things, who was rich in the only things that really mattered. He opened his eyes. I accept. Take everything. Take me back. Voss roared, a sound that wasn't human. The windows exploded. The room began to collapse. But the stranger simply touched Ethan's forehead, and everything went white. Ethan Cole woke up in his gray cubicle, a spreadsheet open in front of him. He blinked, disoriented. What time was it? He must have dozed off. Cole! He looked up. Mr. Brennan was standing there, looking tired. My office. Now, I have news. Ethan's heart raced. He followed Brennan to the office. The company is restructuring, Brennan said. We're going to promote you. Senior manager. 40% raise. Ethan looked at the man. For a moment, just a moment, he felt something strange. Like a déjà vu. As if this had happened before. And a voice whispered in his mind, don't touch that money. He didn't know where that voice came from. Didn't know why he felt a chill run down his spine. But he listened. Mr. Brennan, Ethan said slowly, I appreciate the offer, but I don't feel ready. I like what I do. I like my life as it is. Brennan blinked, surprised. Are you sure? It's a great opportunity. I'm sure. Ethan went back to the cubicle. He picked up his phone, dialed a number he knew by heart. Hi, honey, Maya answered, her voice bringing a smile to his face. I just wanted to hear your voice. Are you okay? I am, he said, and this time it was true. I'm perfect. Want to do something special tonight? Sure. How about we cook together? Perfect, Ethan said. After he hung up, he looked out the office window. For a brief moment, he thought he saw a figure in a gray overcoat standing on the street below. But when he blinked, it had disappeared. Ethan smiled. He didn't know why, but somehow he knew he'd made the right choice. And for the first time in a long time, or maybe for the first time again, he felt rich in the places that really mattered.